Your Detroit Pistons have won 6 straight games for the first time since 2015. Brandon Jennings game winner, and you guys know it, build the bleeping wall. What a damn game against the Atlanta Hawks. One of the best games of the year. 6 straight wins for the Detroit Pistons. We're going to break it all down. Today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Ku Cahill. You can find me over on Twitter at Ku Cahill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, if you're trying to watch the Pistons game with myself and the rest of the Pistons community, I'll put the link to the playback room down below. It was a lot of fun watching this game. Closest game we've had live streaming the games together, watching them. It was fun. It was nervous. It was crazy. Great game, though. If you want to join us over there, I'll put in the comment section, or not in the comment section, the description down below. The Detroit Pistons have won 6 straight games. And what I think was one of the most fun games of the year, for numerous reasons, this one came down to the very end of the game. The very end of the game. And later we'll talk about Schroder having his best game since he joined the Detroit Pistons. And then there's some rare conversations that we're going to have later on the podcast as well. But this game came to the very final whistle. Until the clock said 0-0-0, it came all the way down to that. And the Pistons proved something, I thought, in this game that lets you know that this team is different, and this team actually is a really good team. This is not just a team riding a high. This is not just a team, playing weaker opponents or something and taking advantage. This team actually is really good. And trust me, we're going to get to Cade Cunningham. We'll get to him. But I have to bring this up first. The Detroit Pistons were leading for the majority of this game. They were in control of this game for the majority of this game. Early in the fourth quarter, they had a 10-point lead. They had an 8-point lead with about 4.5 minutes left. But the Hawks came fighting back, made a really close game, and they ended up actually taking a lead with a minute and a half left. Actually, with 2 minutes left, they took a lead and then took the lead back with a minute and a half left. This is after the Pistons were leading the entire game and were really controlling the game. At any other point over the last 5 years, they definitely lose. But even earlier this year, earlier in this season, they would have lost this game. You guys remember, if you guys were listening to the podcast earlier in the year, they lost a lot of close games just like this. And I said on the podcast after those games, your hope is that these games are getting out the way. They are learning that we have to win this way. You're hoping that they're saying to themselves, we're getting to this position. Now the next step is learning how to close these type of games out. We're not getting blown out. We're getting it close. At the end of the game, now we got to make sure we close these type of games out. And you just watch them do that against the Hawks. This is one of the most impressive wins, in my opinion, of the entire season. Maybe even the most impressive. One, actually, next to the 76ers game. One of the most impressive games of the year because the Hawks came back. Trae Young is firing, and the Pistons answered it and ended up winning by 5 points. Just great stuff at the end of this game to not lose their composure, close it out, and get this win for 6 straight wins in a row. Now let's get to Cade Cunningham, man. 38 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 14 of 24 from the field, 7 threes made. Numerous threes taken from beyond the arc, from damn near logo range. He was pulling from deep. Anyone who was concerned about Cade Cunningham's off the dribble pull-up threes, just watch these games. Watch all 10 of his attempts. Don't even have to even watch the missed ones. Even the missed ones look good. I'm trolling somewhat, but just watch this game. Don't need to be concerned about his off-the-dribble pull-up shooting. It's there. He was just a little bit of a cold streak, but damn it, he woke up this game. In that first half that Cade Cunningham had was maybe, I'll say in my time, that I can remember watching the Pistons. I'm not going to say all time or anything, though he is the only Piston to put up these type of numbers in one half. Cade in the first half of this game had 29 points, 10 assists, 1 turnover, 1 block, 5 rebounds, 11 of 16 from the floor, 6 of 8 from deep. The only other player to record 25, 10, and 5 in one half is Luka Doncic in 2023. It was the best half of basketball I've watched from a Piston. Best half I've watched from a Detroit Piston. Now, I know I've already had some people reach out and say, Isaiah Thomas back. I don't remember what year it was, 88 on the broken ankle, or again, I wasn't alive. I was literally not even alive yet, so I wasn't there for that, obviously. Like, give me a break. But from what I've watched, that was the best half a Piston has ever performed since I've been watching. Just absolutely dominant in that half. So dominant, by the way, so dominant from Cade Cunningham that coming out of the halftime in the second half, the Atlanta Hawks decided that their best route to come back, their best chance of coming back and winning this game, was to double team Cade, not off of screens, to double team Cade, not off of pin downs, to double team Cade, not just at half court, but to double him 94 feet away from the basket. I kid you not, for the majority of the third quarter, as soon as the Pistons inbounded the ball to Cade, they were already double teaming him at the other side, on the other team's free throw line. On their own free throw line. They were doubling Cade. They were openly conceding 4-on-3 in the half court. Heck, the entire court basically conceding 4-on-3 just to get the ball out of Cade's hand. You may be wondering, okay, well, if Cade had 29 in the first half, why didn't he end up with 50? That right there is why. He only took, 8 shots in that second half? He was double-teamed the entire half. Again, like I said, not just in pick and roll, not just coming off pin downs. He was being doubled full 94 feet. That's how much he was dominating them in the first half and how much respect and gravity he has for the Detroit Pistons. I mean, this was something I really want to make a breakdown for. I was going to make a breakdown tomorrow, showcasing this type of gravity, but I feel like it's almost self-explanatory. Like, it doesn't need a breakdown with that. You can see that Cade's being double-teamed 94 feet from the rim and understand that means 4-on-3 the rest of the game. And for what it's worth, that's why you have a guy like Jalen Duren on your team who has that playmaking and can make those type of reads. By the way, 6 assists for Jalen Duren. That is now 6 straight games with 5+ assists for Jalen Duren. 6 straight. Continues to play really well. Something I really love from Jalen Duren, by the way, since we brought him up tonight. First few minutes of the game, he picked up 2 fouls in the first minute and a half. He ended the game with 2 fouls. Now, he wasn't able to get into a rhythm. He only had 13.6 assists and 5 rebounds. Didn't have a great game, but he didn't get in foul trouble the rest of the game. Found a way to stay out of foul trouble the rest of the game. I like seeing that from him. But Cade was absolutely fantastic. He's reaching heights that should have every Piston fan ecstatic about the next 5 years. You should be absolutely ecstatic about the next 5 years of Piston basketball because you have number 2 on your team. You have Cade Cunningham on your team. And this is even bringing up the fact that he had 3 blocks. This isn't bringing up the fact that he's not also an offensive juggernaut, a top 15, top 10 offense within himself. He's also a good defender who can make plays in the weak side, who is engaged on that end of the floor, engaged in the passing lanes, engaged as a weak side rim protector. Cade is putting on a two-way masterpiece within this game. I tweeted out a clip of me reacting, me and the guys reacting in the playback room and everyone watching, reacting to Cade coming down, pull up 3, goes back down the court, rips up somebody on the roll, takes it back down, gets a dunk for Ryan Holland. Just a great two-way sequence from Cade. You don't get that from a lot of stars, and you're getting it from Cade. You're watching Cade, again, reach heights that should have every Piston fan excited, ecstatic, overwhelmed for the next 5 years of Piston basketball. This is, again, man, I've said it numerous times. I'm going to keep saying it, dude. At the beginning of this year, there would have been no way I would have guessed that the Pistons were winning 6 straight games at any point. I would not have guessed it. I don't believe most of anyone would have either. But right now, the Pistons sit at 31 wins, which is the same amount of wins that they had the last 2 years combined. They're at 31 wins. They lost 28 in a row last year, and they're at 31 wins right now. This has been such a fun season to be a part of. This has been such a fun season to watch. And this game, man, look, The blowouts are cool. It's fun to see the blowouts happen, okay? Seeing the team have to go through an opposing team, coming back, taking the lead late. The crowd, on the road too, by the way. The crowd losing its mind. The momentum completely against you. And then answering that call and pulling the win out is absolutely big time. Absolutely big time. It's one of the most impressive wins of the season. Now, sadly, the only bad news is that the teams in front of the Pistons keep winning. That is literally the only bad news. They're winning these games, but the Bucks keep winning. The Pacers are playing well. They've won 3 in a row. The Bucks have won 4. So that's literally the only bad thing about it, is that you're not gaining ground because the teams in front of you keep winning. But just for the Pistons, man, they're playing tremendous basketball, and they should be damn proud. Now get ready for this trip coming up. It's not a road trip, but you got the Clippers, Celtics, Nuggets next 3 games. It's going to be a tough 3-game stretch. Go 1-2 here, you feel good. Just get 1. And then you got the Nets, Jazz. You'll feel good. But this game right here, one of the best games of the year. And Cade Cunningham is one of them ones. He is one of them ones. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill how you guys feel about this game. How you guys feel about Cade Cunningham at this point in the season, at this point in his career. Where do you think the Pistons are going to end up at the end of this season in the standings? Will they eventually catch somebody? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill. One of the biggest reasons outside of Cade that they were able to pull this win out is newly acquired Dennis Schroder. Had his best game with the Detroit Pistons and came through big time for them. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Planning to catch the next game? Order your go-to snacks and meals at a discount and get ready for more high-scoring action. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account to do it. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Again, use NBA 50 after a player scores 50 points during the regular season from noon to midnight to get up to $10 off, 50% off the order the next day. Visit DoorDash to learn more. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel @Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. You know how I mentioned at the end of this game, the Hawks came back, took the lead. You know, all the reasons I gave for why. All the reasons why that this was one of the most impressive games, if not the most impressive game, right next to the 76ers game of the season. One of the main reasons they were able to pull this out was because of Dennis Schroder, who, let's just be frank, before this game, he was not having the greatest time as the Detroit Piston. He wasn't playing his best. Now, the Pistons were still better with him on the floor versus Marcus Sasser by far. Like, they were, the on-off net rating tells the story. So the Pistons were still feeling his presence as just a point guard that can set the team up and set the offense up and, get them into actions. But he himself was not playing the best. He chose the perfect game to have his best game as a Piston. In this game, before we get to what happened at the end of the game, in this game, Schroder had 16 points, 7 assists, a steal. He shot 5 of 10 from the field and 5 of 5 from the line. He was a +5 in this game. They didn't get destroyed in the non-Cade minutes. And that's all you need. In the non-Cade minutes, you just need to not get destroyed. Keep it even. Win by 1. Keep it even. That's what they need in the non-Cade minutes, because the non-Cade minutes before Schroder were going so badly. But in this game, they won Schroder's minutes by 5. Now, he did share some of those minutes with Cade, but the overall point is that when Cade left the floor, they had a viable point guard on the floor to not turn the ball over, to get past half court, to set guys up, to get them into their offense, to get some dribble penetration, which he did in this game, which will definitely take me straight to what happened at the end of this game. The Pistons are down by 1. The Hawks are double teaming Cade. Can't get a look off. Cade hasn't been able to get a look off for a while. Then Schroder gets it, drives to the basket on Niang, who had a crazy career game. Drives to the basket on Niang, finishes the layup, and draws a foul. The Pistons go back up by 2 with 33 seconds left. Without that, they do not win this game. Without Schroder and him making that play and showing why they went out and got him, they needed another guy on the floor, on the roster, in the rotation that is capable of getting the ball in their hands and getting to the rim. Ausar's been doing more of it. He had a fine game. Schroeder's been doing it now in this game, and it came through in the most important time needed. Along with Cade having a fantastic game, your backup point guard that you just acquired had the best game of his time with the Pistons and really showcases and shows you that the Pistons are a much more balanced team now. They are a much more complete team now. I'm just going to go straight through, just look at the box score. It would be the simplest way to doing it. You got 38 from Cade, 18 from THJ, 13 from Duren, 12 from Tobias, 14 points from Ausar, 16 from Dennis Schroder, 24 from Malik Beasley, 6 points from Stu, but you got 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks in his time, and they won his minutes by 12 points. The only player that I would say that was legit a negative is Simone Fontecchio, which he was ruled out for the rest of this game due to a right hand injury. But listen, I'm going to make the case that JB needs to seriously consider just not playing him at all, even when he gets back from that right hand injury. Simone has been, look, we're in February. We're about to be in March now. He's been bad all year, and it seems like he's getting worse and worse. So I'd heavily consider just not even playing him in the rotation, maybe giving someone else a chance, or just going back down to the 9-man rotation. But outside of Simone, every other player contributed heavily to this win. The Pistons aren't just, yes, they're being led by Cade. And yes, they're not winning these games if Cade isn't as great as he is, 100%. But they're not just winning because of him. That's the difference between this year and last year. It's not just the Cade show anymore. It's not just Cade fighting for himself. You're getting contributions from veterans and THJ and Tobias and Malik. You're getting some contributions from guys from the trade deadline and Schroder. You're seeing development from your young guys in Ausar Thompson, who had 14 points on 7 of 8 shooting, by the way. 7 of 8 shooting, 3 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Played a nice game. Jalen Duren, again, in a game that was considered a not great game for him, another 5+ assist night. Isaiah Stewart, the one guy you've extended so far, the second guy, really he's the first one that did, but the other guy, outside of K, that you've extended during this rebuild, continues to be impactful off the bench. I mean, you're getting, this team is much more well-rounded now with a legit backup point guard on the team. Now, do they have areas they have to still address to take that next step? 100%, like we all get that. But for where they are now, they are a much more well-rounded team. And you're getting those type of performances. I mean, look, dude, the Pistons had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they had 7 players in double figures in this game. They had 40 assists in this game. Like, this is just a great game from the Pistons. Yes, I know they gave up 143 to the Hawks. I get it. Trey's really good, okay? I know that he's really annoying to watch. Trust me, I hate seeing the foul baiting too. I hate it. But the Hawks, they were doing some great great shot making, man. Like, it is what it is. You gotta give it up to them. The Pistons were able to answer, and a lot of it was due to Schroder. He played a fantastic game and hit clutch bucket for the Detroit Pistons. Absolutely came through for him. Before we move on, though, to the rare conversations, I want to shout out a few players here and give them even more credit before we move on to the next segment. What you're seeing from Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren is fantastic. Like, the Pistons, when was the last time? I seriously, I want you to seriously think about this. When was the last time the Pistons had some young guys that they drafted that in the fan base, people like myself, other fans, sat around and said, well, you know, this guy's going to get better. This guy's going to get better. He's going to be a real impact player for this team. He's going to be important. You just need to wait for him to let him develop. And they actually developed. Over the last 15 years, how many of them actually developed and actually became an impactful player? Actually became a reason why they were winning. Guys, they drafted and developed. How many times have you seen that happen over the last 15 years? It hasn't. It hasn't happened often. And the Pistons are sitting on 31 wins, and in large part due to, obviously, their franchise player who they drafted in Cade, and a player they drafted 5th overall, who's developed this year and changed this team since he started on January 1st, and a guy they drafted 13th in Jalen Duren, who at the beginning of the year was playing so poorly he called himself out and turned his season around so much to where he's playing so well, you got people talking about now whether he should be extended in the offseason. When have you have not seen that happen often over the last 15 years of Piston basketball? There's been a lot of hope. You've hoped that this guy plans out. You hope that this guy develops. You hope that this guy ends up working out. And it hasn't happened often. You are in the middle of a season where you are watching 4 players of this rotation. Obviously, Jane Ivey's out. But of this rotation, were drafted by the Detroit Pistons or are being developed by the Detroit Pistons and being impactful for winning basketball for a playoff team. In Isaiah Stewart, in Cade Cunningham, in Ausar Thompson, and in Jalen Duren. There has not been, I don't think there's been another time during this Piston past 15, 17 years that you can say that. So shout out those two guys. Even in a game where I don't think they played their best games, even in a game like that, you're seeing it. You are getting something that you haven't gotten from Piston basketball in a long time. So wanted to shout those guys out. And look, man, this is just I can't say anything else, but this is just like a fun time to be a Pistons fan. I saw a friend of the podcast, 6th Man of the Year, Czar. He tweeted, and then we'll move on to the next segment. He had a funny tweet before I started. He said, let me pull it up. He said something like, for NBA fans, here it is. If you're a general NBA fan, the Pistons are consistently the best watch in the league this year. Games are down to the wire so often, fun and transition talks a lot of bleep. 100% right. The Pistons have been one of the best watches in the NBA. Seen a lot of people watching them on League Pass. They have to be a top-tier League Pass team, 100%. But then he ends the tweet with, if you're a Pistons fan, consult your cardiovascular specialist. Because these games, the way some of these games come down to the wire and the things that happen have you on the edge of your seat, and it feels like that happens for 80% of the Piston games. Like, it feels like you're watching just a crazy ending or some insane crap happens at the end of these games. But this has been a fun year, man. This Pistons being fun, not just the Pistons fans now, and being fun to just like the NBA audience is something I think everyone's been waiting on in Detroit and within this fan base has been waiting to be able to say and feel again. Like, 15 years, man. 15 years. This is a great time to be a Pistons fan. Great time. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about Schroder's game today. Who else outside of Cade you felt like had the biggest hand in contributing to this win, and how you feel about the young guys developing and being impactful players for this team right now and moving forward. Let me know all that comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kukahill. When we come back, I just want to say, Cade Cunningham, he's reaching rare conversations. And I'm gonna have that rare conversation on here. When the games tip off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can take live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I've told you guys this many a times. I've been using FanDuel for years, use it almost every single day, maybe a little too often, but I love it. Super fun to use, super self-explanatory, super easy to use, but most importantly, super fun to use. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Another great way to support the podcast. Want to thank you guys again for helping us get to 10,000 subscribers. Our next goal is going to be a long time, but it's our next goal, 20K. You want to get to 20K subscribers. Now, that's going to be a long time, but we set those goals anyway. So I appreciate all of you guys. If you guys want to join us for one of the live streams, watch the Pistons game with myself on the screen, just like if you know what Twitch is. I'm in the bottom corner watching the game. The game's on the screen. You can come up and chill with us, talk with us during the game. It's a fun environment. We have a bunch of fans in there. We all laugh, talk, chit-chat. It's a lot of fun. So I'll link it down below at Playback, our room. You can watch the games with us. But let's get to this conversation. I'm done being, trying to be safe and objective when it comes to Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham should be on the All-NBA team this year. He should be an All-NBA third team. He should be a lock. He should be a lock for this team. And I'm going to tell you why. And then after he becomes a lock for the All-NBA team this year, I'm going to tell you why that moving forward, Cade's going to be a top 15 player in the NBA as soon as next year. And you could probably make an argument when you take into account games played and impact on both ends that he's been a borderline top 15 player this year. And I think he's going to soon, and I mean maybe as soon as next year even, top 10 player in the entire NBA. And eventually, I'll say this as well, eventually he will be in MVP talks. That's where he's heading. That's where he's heading. I don't think people understand. Let me make this clear. I don't think people understand, chat. I don't think people understand, listeners, that Cade Cunningham is leading a team to 31 wins that just won 14 last year. And it wasn't like they added superstars. It wasn't like they've added all-star level players. They just added competence. All they added was competence. Just normal basketball. Just make it easy basketball. Like nothing crazy. No big home run swings. Just simple singles. A Malik Beasley here, a T.H. Shea here, a Tobias Harris there. A coach that actually gives a damn here. A GM that believes that three-point shooting probably matters and needs to have more than one shooter on the court there. Like, just common modern NBA thinking. Just common modern NBA roster building and nothing crazy. That's all it took. And you go from the worst season in Pistons history to them being a top 6 seed in the NBA, or in the Eastern Conference right now, them fighting for the 5th seed, for the 4th seed, and being one of the best watches in the entire NBA, and since January 1st, have simply been a top 10 NBA team in the league. This is all, look, we give credit, and nowhere near am I trying to make it seem like that the impact of Malik Beasley is not felt. We've talked about it all the time on the podcast. Everyone who listens to the podcast, you guys know that's not what we're doing. Nowhere near are we trying to minimize the impact of Malik, THJ, not that these guys aren't good players, or Tobias, or to act like that Ausar and JD haven't improved. Like, we just spent a segment talking about it. Yes, they're a much more well-rounded team. But at the end of the day, stars win in the NBA. Stars are what win you games in the NBA in 2025. And you can have a competent team, but if you want to win games, you need to have that dude. And the Pistons have that dude. They put competence around him, and now we're watching some of the most fun basketball of the last 20 years for the Pistons, going all the way back to the going to work team. You're watching them compete for a non-play-in playoff spot. You're watching them take down teams like the Knicks. You're watching them take down teams like the Hawks at the end of these games. You're watching them go on long winning streaks, all because they have that dude on their team. And he is playing some of the best, actually, he's playing the best basketball of his entire career. He's doing it on the offensive end. He's doing it on the defensive end. He's improved as a three-point shooter. He's getting his teammates involved. He's one of the best passers in the NBA. He has size. He's a smart player. He has a high IQ. He has a supercomputer in his brain when it comes to processing defenses and how they want to guard him. You want to double him? Sure. Be okay with giving up either corner skip passes to wide open three-point shooters or an immediate bounce pass or an immediate dump-off pass into a 4-on-3 situation. Don't have to worry about him holding the ball too long. Don't have to worry about him making the wrong read on offense. Oh, you want an offensive generator? You want an offensive super-powered system within a player? Well, that means you probably have to give up some on defense. Not with Cade Cunningham. Not with Cade. Not with Cade Cunningham. You have that offensive firepower within one player, and that also gives it to you on the defensive end. That also is competing on the end. That is a legit two-way player in the NBA at 6'7", with a 7-foot wingspan. And to top it all off, he's a tremendous leader. Tremendous leader. Respected by everyone in the locker room. Damn near respected by everyone else in the NBA. Commands respect. He has everything. This right here is why when the Pistons got the first overall pick in Cade's draft, everyone was celebrating. You saw, if you guys followed me on Twitter, if you followed me on Snapchat or Instagram, why you were getting the funny drive homes, blasting music, celebrating that the Pistons had the number 1 overall pick. This is why it wasn't a thought about who goes number 1. And it's why it's still not a thought who goes number 1 in a redraft. Because Cade Cunningham is that dude. He's going to be in MVP talks eventually. He is going to be universally recognized as a top 10 NBA player sooner rather than later. He is going to be a lock for the All-NBA third team this year. And he's going to win the Pistons a playoff game this year for the first time since 2008. He will be the person that leads the Pistons back to prominence. He will be the person that breaks the playoff drought they had. Haven't won a playoff game since 2008. He's going to do all of this. Everything I just said to you about him as a player, what he's going to bring to the team, what he's going to bring attention-wise nationally, everything I just said, he's going to bring that to you guys, to the fan base, to Detroit, to the NBA, a year after having the worst season in franchise history. 1 year removed. Not 2 years, not after trading for a LeBron, not after going through what the Celtics did, going and get KG and Ray Allen, not after going and creating a super team, not after going and trading for a disgruntled all-star, simply adding competence. Adding competence has led to Cade Cunningham bringing this to you guys. Bringing this to the Pistons fan base, bringing this to the Pistons organization, and having them competing like this. He will be in MVP talks eventually. He will be a top 10 player sooner rather than later. He will be an All-NBAer this year. You will be paying him more money, a higher percentage of the salary cap, because he's going to make an All-NBA team. And to be honest, I'd give him more just because of what he's done with this team. Cade is that dude. He is him. He's one of them ones. Simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. And he's a dude, and we'll wrap it up here. The best part about it, he's a dude who loves the city, who embraces the city, loves the city, wants to bring the city back, and I can't imagine a day that Cade wants to leave. A guy who doesn't want to just go to the New York, to the Los Angeles, doesn't care about the big time markets, is loyal and is motivated to bring the Pistons back, wants to be known as a Piston legend. This is the player that you got for your team. This is a player that you drafted and you're going to be able to develop and watch grow, and that's probably the best part about it. You're going to be able to watch this kid grow. From a rookie to the superstar he's going to become, all in Detroit. It's not a guy that you go out and get that already became it, and then you're going to watch you're watching his development. We're watching Cade go from that kid from Oklahoma State. We're watching him go from the dude that was skinny and didn't have much muscle and was struggling around the rim, and his outside shot was struggling. We watched him go through the second season. We didn't barely even get to play. We watched him go through all these. We watched him go through last year, being at the worst of the worst, being down in the dumps that he's ever been in his life. We watched him after games. We watched him during how his reactions were. We watched all this. We're watching him grow into what he is now and what he's going to be, and that's what's going to make it even more sweeter for Pistons fans. He's going to be a homegrown superstar. He's one of them ones, man. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. From 14 wins to 31 before March. He's one of them ones, man. Until next time, see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Peace out, everybody.